Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'll show you how I make akara, also known as bean balls. To make akara, we need a number of ingredients, some of which I already have laid out here today. The ingredients we'll need include, here I have eggs, 1 egg, hot peppers, a medium-sized onion and 2 cloves of garlic, and beans which I've peeled. And if you like to watch my video on how to peel your beans with your blender, I'll leave a link below for you to see that. You would also need water and salt and seasoning, which is optional. I start by adding the beans in the blender. Now for those who may have watched my video on how to make moi moi, the process is a little similar but still different. Here I'm adding the beans and making sure I limit the amount of water. You don't want your mixture to turn out very thick with less water, or watery or runny if you add so much water. So you add just enough to roll the beans in the blender. Because you've added just a little bit of water, it may be challenging to have your blender run normally, but you work with it so that it so you eventually have your beans well blended. So I get to stir it up, kind of move the beans around or the mixture around, so it'll be much easier on the blender to roll the beans. If you add a lot of water, your beans eventually sits, when you start frying, it sits in the oil and absorbs a lot of oil. So your akara becomes extremely oily. So that is why you don't want to add a lot of water. Continue to blend until it's smooth. Now I have poured my blended beans, into a bowl where I will continue to mix the mixture together with other ingredients. In order to keep this mixture light and to enhance the fluffiness of the akara, you can actually mix this by hand. Locally in Nigeria, this is done by continuous mixing for quite a little bit of time. But here I'm going to use my hand mixer, which would cut this process in like less than half the time. Here I will be mixing for about a minute or two. But of course the time that it takes you to mix will depend on the quantity you're making. Here I'm making just about a cup and a half of beans, and that should not be more than a minute or two to mix it together. I thought I should share some information about Akara with you, which some of you may know. Akara, of course, is found in West Africa, and if you didn't know, it's also found in the Brazilian cuisine. It was introduced to Brazil by enslaved people from West African coast. It's common in Nigeria, Ghana, Benin, Gambia, Sierra Leone, Togo, and Benin. It's a ritual food in African Brazilian religious practices. Sometimes, like when people die, it's used as sacrifice, and it's one of the popular street foods in Nigeria, and it's served in Nigeria with bread, ekotutu we call it, or agidi as the Igbos will call it, and this is kind of like a meal made from corn. So after about a minute or two, now you see the mixture kind of increases in volume a little bit because now it has air incorporated in it, and you can see the texture that you should maintain. It should not be as runny as the mixture for moi moi. I've gone ahead to finely chop my onions, and also I chopped the garlic and the red pepper or hot pepper, and of course I'm going to add the egg. Egg, of course, is optional. This is not typically part of the ingredients that it's normally used for akara, but when you add egg into the akara, I promise you there's a difference. It helps it to be light and fluffy, and I like that texture, the texture it gives the akara. But of course you can leave it out. If you leave it out, it doesn't take away from the akara. It just adds a little extra thing, to the texture of the akara, which I like very much. You could try it and just leave me a comment below if you like the idea of adding egg to your akara. Next, you add salt to taste. I also add a little seasoning here. Again, the seasoning is optional, but it just adds a little bit of extra flavor to it. So sometimes I just add a little bit into my mixture, but you can totally leave this out. I add the other ingredients. You see how I've finely chopped my peppers and garlic. So when you fry the akara, the pepper looks like it's just been drizzled or something, like it's sprinkled all over the akara, and it kind of looks really beautiful. I add the onions as well, and now all that is left is to mix and start to fry. Well, akara, you can fry akara with vegetable oil and also palm oil. Today I will be frying it with vegetable oil. It's also important to continue to stir your mixture as you fry, because that helps to keep the air that is folded in the mixture. Now you would notice that as I put the akara, as I scoop it into the oil, it floats. That's because the texture is very light. The air in it is keeping it afloat. And that is very important. If you put your akara in the oil and in a few seconds it doesn't float, it's sinking, it's going to come out very oily and you won't enjoy it. keep your heat medium, about medium to low heat, but not very high. I would say just keep it in medium heat, because if it's too high, the akara fries so quickly that the inside of the akara may not be well cooked. If it is too low, that may lower the temperature of the oil and allow the akara to begin to absorb oil. So it sits for longer in the oil and becomes way too oily. You flip the akara over once the side is already brown. You flip it over to allow the other side to then fry as well. Now the akara is ready because it's now brown on both sides. A little tip here for you, I normally would use paper towel to absorb any excess oil or extra oil from the akara once I get it off the stove. You can also put it in a strainer and then the oil kind of drains out of it. For me, I prefer the paper towel method. I find it a lot better than the strainer method. And now the akara is ready. Like I said, you can serve this with bread. You can serve it with the cornmeal or agidi or ekotutu, as I said initially. Look at that. You can see the air pockets. That's what was keeping it afloat in the oil. And the center is well cooked. It is fluffy, and of course it tastes very delicious. And there you have it. Akara, error-proof method, simple, no fuss. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please like, share, and subscribe. Let me know if there's any video you'd like me to put up on my channel. And I really do appreciate you coming back to my channel. Thanks again for coming to Yum Yum Africa. See you next time. Bye.